What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rock of Truth podcast. And first, a word from our sponsor, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Danco Joe is offering a special promotion. Call Danco to schedule any service and receive a free oil change when you mention Rock of Truth podcast through the end of November or when Danco Joe comes to his senses and stops giving away things. Go to danco.com on Route 4 in Fairfield. Tell him Soppy sent you. Before we even get into it, Statty, finally, somebody took advantage of our promotion. You went down to Danco Transmission and Auto Care, and you got an oil change. Is that right?
Yeah. I went down to the shop. It took two attempts, but we finally made it work. And that man Joe's got he's got quite the rig down there. I mean, he wasn't kidding. It's pretty impressive. Yeah, man.
Did you get Mexican food?
No.
Oh, he didn't take you to lunch.
No,
that's
okay.
That's his thing. He takes you to lunch at this Mexican place down the street.
Hey, tell him the story though. Of you, like you got there, it was going to get scheduled for like a day after, and then he was like, "Statty's here."
So yeah, all right. I sent him a text. I'm like, "What's up, man? I'm back in town from AZ. See, it's snowing and crap here in Ohio. I need air in the tires. I need all my fluids just prepped for the winter." So he's like, "All right, come on by." So I pull up, text him like, "Hey, I'm gonna be there in 20 minutes." Walk in and looking around the shop, can't see him. Some guy, I think his name was Mike, takes care of me, and I was like, "Yeah, like, is Joe in here? Danco Joe, where's he at?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know. He's here, but I couldn't tell you where he's at exactly. What do you need? Boom, boom, boom. This, at the third." Dude's like, "All right, soonest I can get you in is Monday." I'm like, "Okay, well, can I at least get air in my tires?" No go. So all good. I was like, "All right, I guess I'll see you on Monday." I, pull out of the lot, go get me a nice iced coffee and a donut from the Dunkin' Donuts a little down the way. And I get a text from Danco Joe. Or are you here yet? And I'm like, "Dude, I was just there. Like, what are you talking about?" And so then he gives me a call and kind of give him the lowdown. He's like, "I didn't tell Mike you were coming in. I told Jason to expect you, but come on in. I'm here at the shop." Sure enough, pull down the street. He's there. Give him the keys. Take a picture. He took good care of Pearl. Go get the truck later that night, and rest is history. She ran good today.
Love that, man.
I mean,
the best in the biz, and that's why he's our sponsor.
I mean, I think he just guaranteed a sponsorship for life of the Rock of Truth. Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
With that being said, man, go down there. You get the special treatment. Tell him Soppy sent you. But yeah, let's talk ball, man. Bearcats won. BDCU 27-25. Got a lot of notes about it. A lot to talk about. We don't need to get too deep into it, but a couple of points I want to make. But even before there, what are your guys' thoughts?
I'd just like to piggyback off the story I just shared because Danco Joe stepped up again for my whole life. I didn't have a ticket. He's like, "Yo, hit me up." So I hit him up, and not only do I get a ticket into the game, but I get 4 free drinks at the Truly rooftop. And I'd never been up there ever before. And experiencing the band take the field, the guys running out of the tunnel, the fireworks coming off. I mean, all in all, atmosphere was electric for the first half. It was unbelievable. It's like, Bearcats are back. Nip at night. This is what we do. And, Danco Joe just stepping up again for me. So that guy's a legend. But atmosphere there was great for the first half.
What happened in the second half?
They went home.
Yeah, for some reason, I guess a 10-point lead at halftime means we got it in the bag. And it was a sellout of what? It was like 38,000 maybe? I think 28,000 left at halftime. But shout out the student section. They clearly listened to us the prior week because they stayed. But yeah, I might have been heckling a few people asking where they were going on a Friday night.
What were their responses?
A couple birds, couple of just going somewhere warm, and then majority of the people were going to the bar. I mean, it was cold, dude. It was chilly. Wind was whipping through there, but I mean, you got to hold it down for the Bearcats.
Joe, you're the diehard fan, man. Give me your take on that.
I personally am a big fan of like stay until the clock hits 0, singing the alma mater, Tower Strength, Rock of Truth, the whole thing. So I was definitely like bothered by the fact that like people were just heading out. At one point we were down 25-24 and we kicked a field goal with like 9:20 to go in the game to make it 27-25. And like, I swear to you, 10,000 people got up and just exited the stadium. It was like Evan McPherson just hit the game-winning field goal. The game was over, and I looked up at the clock, and there was 9:20 left, and I was like, "What just happened?" Like people were leaving. Like even people in my section who usually stay were just like headed out, and I was like, "Where are they going?" I will say this though. I'm gonna go both ways. I'm gonna do like the pros and cons. I'm gonna kind of say why I think people did it, and then I'm also gonna say why people shouldn't do it. I think that the first thing is it was an 8 p.m. start. Okay. Not to say that's really a good reason. They knew that beforehand, right? Like you buy those tickets, you're going to know before you go to the game that it's an 8 p.m. start. But obviously, I didn't get home till like 1 a.m. in the morning. So like it is a late, like for if you have a kid or you have a son or a daughter who's younger than the age of 13, 14, I can understand you leaving. But it's hard for me to believe that like 10, 15,000 people in that stadium had that scenario. I can see certain scenarios where I understand it completely. Other scenarios, though, if you're going to a game on a Friday night and at 8 p.m., why would you go if you were thinking of leaving at halftime, especially when the game was like a good game? It wasn't like one of those blowouts where you can make room to say, hey, go ahead. It wasn't like that. The game was close. It had huge implications. Like I know this team isn't as good as last year's team, but we've been spoiled. Like this is still a football team that's fighting for a conference championship, and that game had huge implications, and people were heading out like this was the 4-8 season, And so I was a little disappointed from that standpoint. I don't know how you guys felt about it, or Sapi. I don't know if you could even tell from watching on your TV in Florida that people were filing out.
Yeah, I couldn't really notice, but I mean, obviously I'm in the group chat with you guys, and people were heated. Which I get. And, it's only going to get harder if people leaving for that game. I know, hopefully we take care of business this weekend, which, we'll get into that later. And I think Tulane, last time I checked, was kicking SMU's ass. So that game next week is a huge game. I mean, it's a game to go to the conference championship. And ESPN kind of dicked us, or ESPN2 or whoever it is, putting us at noon the day after Thanksgiving. So that's tough. And obviously students are going home. Ohio State, Michigan's on Saturday. I'm sure, unfortunately, a lot of people are trying to gear up to go to that. So it puts us in a difficult spot to kind of fill up NIP for that game. But hopefully, it's a noon start and the energy is a little bit different because, we needed fans at that ECU game, and we're sure as hell going to need, a rowdy atmosphere and fans in that game next week specifically.
What are our thoughts on my question is this for the Tulane game. What are our thoughts on, obviously it being a noon game kind of stinks right after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, people are going to be shopping. What are our thoughts on not only that, but we also have USA England at 2:00 for the World Cup. I know I'm a big World Cup guy. I'm not a big soccer guy in general, but I do watch the World Cup. I'll be at the full Tulane UC game. That's not going to take me away from it. But I know that there are people out there who love the Bearcats who are also big into soccer. Is that going to play a factor? Are we worried about that at all, or am I being kind of stupid asking that question?
I think that's very valid. I had no idea, to be completely honest with you, until you just said that. But yeah, I mean, it's USA. Like you said, to be honest, I don't give a shit about soccer, but I watch the World Cup. Everybody watches the World Cup. You want to cheer on USA. So, yeah, I think that I didn't know that. That's just another thing to add to the fold. So that sucks.
Yeah, buddy texted me today, and he goes, I know you watch the World Cup. I know you're a big Bearcat fan. Are you going to leave the game early? And I was like, no, why? And then he like told me, and I was like, no, but I mean, I'm sure people will do that. I mean, it comes once every 4 years.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a great excuse to go to the bar after the game. That's what I'll say.
yeah.
Better than their excuse last week.
Yeah. I don't know.
And we can say, like, hey, I hope we're up big, but we're not going to be up big against Tulane come the fourth quarter. Like, the way this team has played all year, they're not built to blow teams out. Like, they find ways to win, and that's awesome. But I think we all can accept now they're not going to blow anyone out. Doesn't matter how good or how bad a team is. So especially a good team, you know.
Yeah. We struggle to put two halves of football together. And that's been just a theme all year long. And it was again this past week. You know, we jump out of the gate. You know, you got 24 points at halftime. When you finish the game with 27, you're like, like what happened there? That third quarter, we lost 13-0. Actually gave up the lead at one point, like Joe brought up in that third quarter. So yeah, I agree, Joe. We're not gonna, blow anybody out. We're gonna keep playing tight football games. And I don't know what's scarier. Are we better with the 2-possession lead, or when we're down 2 possessions?
Yeah, I had that written down too. It's just kind of the struggles in the second half. And that's been like a weekly thing. I guess it's just lack of adjustments, or maybe overcompensating and making too many adjustments at halftime. I don't know, but it has been an issue. And, they scored their last touchdown with, I think it was 7:34 left in the second quarter. And then just didn't do anything from that. And it's, they got away with it. I give them credit. Obviously, like, we're very critical. And like Joe said, we've been spoiled. So just everybody is critical. And the fact that we're in the position that we're in, I think we all at the beginning of the season would have felt like really good about it. There is something to be said, is that they got completely outplayed. I mean, obviously big plays is what won us the game. Jaden's 100-yard kickoff return, Trey Tucker, 55-yard screen for a touchdown. Tyler Scott, 76-yard touchdown pass. I think we tweeted out, like, get those guys the ball in space. And then after we said that, they even got it to him more. And that's the recipe for success. But I just want to run through this really quick. I have it pulled up. Like, ECU pretty much outplayed us. They outgained us by 155 yards. The penalties were the same, so that was good. They outrushed us. They won the turnover battle. Time of possession, they had the ball for 13 more minutes than we did. They had 9 more first downs. So, like, basically completely outplayed us, and we still won the game. And, credit to them for finding a way to win the game, because good teams do that. Sometimes even they get outplayed, but it's, it's not a great recipe for success. So kudos to them for, pulling it off and getting the win, but a little bit concerning as a fan.
Yeah, and not only, you kind of went down the whole box score, but one that kind of points out to me is not only big plays, but they were 5 of 17 on third down, ECU offense. So, I think we get on here and give the offense a hard time every week, but when certain statistics continue to show up week after week, you can't help but not put the blame on some part of that other half of the ball. But anytime where you got Luke Fickell, you're going to be a defensively driven football team. I don't think anybody's surprised by that, but I just don't. I don't like defense giving offense a ton of chances, and then we end up giving up a safety, or we throw a deep ball, basically throw a punt on a pretty big drive to give ECU momentum back into the game. I don't want to point the finger, and I'm a defensive guy, but I don't know. I think we got to get Sopko under center.
I don't know.
I agree with you on some points. Because better than anyone, especially on that defensive side of the football, my big thing with the offense is like they're I mean, I'm trying to be nice. Like they're just not good. Like I'm trying to be positive, but like if outside of 2 huge plays, if you take away those 2 big plays, they were awful the whole game. I mean, like I know we scored 27 points, but really it was 2 big plays that were more so in my opinion like 2 receivers just making plays, right? And good throws, nothing but like we expect him to make those throws. Like he has a great arm. We expect him to make those throws. They way too often are on and off the field way too quickly. And Jake, you can speak more about that. But our defense is on the field a lot longer than our offense is. And I do think like while our defense has given up more points this year, I think they've done fairly well to this point for how much they lost last year. And I know the offense lost stuff too. But I think like for me, I just watched the offense and I know they had 2 big plays the other night, but outside of that, just the whole game was just it wasn't very good. I mean, Jake, can you talk about that a little bit? I don't know what the problems are. I feel like we have talent on offense. I think you can speak on it better than I can.
Sapi, before you go, touch on a little bit as well, just opening drives. We've been throwing the ball every single play. With good question, Joe, but I just want to throw that out there. See if you can't maybe touch on what a first drive of a game entails, what it means, things like that.
Yeah, I mean the first, I think most people probably know, but if you're not like a diehard football fan, the first 20 plays are scripted. So it's like everything is exactly scripted. And in a perfect world, you go down those 20 plays, and obviously it changes situationally based on how the plays go. If you get in third down situations, you go off script, but you try to get back to script. And like when things are perfect, you're following that script. And like I've been part of games, whether like coaching where we've just gone down that script and you're up 21-0 off rip, and there's some teams that are like really good off their script. Like if you look at in the NFL, for one, like just obviously because I watch them every weekend, the Browns suck. Their offense is not good, but like they're really good because Stefanski, and I can get down to a whole different thing, but like they're really good at scripted plays. That's all. They always look best in their first drive. So it's like finding a way to kind of, these are your best plays. This is what the quarterback feels the most comfortable with and going down that line. And yeah, I guess to your point, like maybe we have kind of, it's hard, right? Like if you come out here and you're off the rip, we're going to do these 2 throws. Maybe one's a deep shot, one's this. And if you go for 2, then you find yourself in 3rd and 10 and you're like, all right, then you're in a shitty spot to start the game because you can very easily high percentage going 3 and out. So that's kind of like the risk that you run. And I think the big issue for the defense not being on the field so much is like we're not establishing the run game. And that was something that since the day I got there, that's all we preached was like, establish the run game, RPO off of that, play action, and then drop pass game. Like I think that was literally Coach John Brock's like 4 keys to success. That was what we were going to follow.
Yeah.
And we had really good running backs, from Mike Warren to Dokes to Ford. Were really good. And that's not saying that we don't have really good running backs now. And we also had a running quarterback who like made things work, even if they weren't working. So I think just having the struggles of not being able to establish the run game and maybe just kind of getting away from it a little bit early, just kind of getting frustrated and getting right away from it. And I think that's been kind of an issue, and it kind of, messes up the flow of the offense. And that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. Like you were saying, it makes it feel like they're out there a lot more than maybe they have been in years past. So I think just, finding a way to establish that run game, I think everything flows easier when you can run the ball. It just makes everything so much easier. RPO, the passes off the run game, everything becomes easier, play action and all that. So I think that's the biggest piece, and it's easier said than done. And it's like, it's not something that's, I'm sure there's a lot of different things that go into that, but I think that's just, the number one root of the cause, I guess, in my opinion.
We do have a question. And you two, I'm not able to answer it. I think Sopko, it's more of a question you could probably answer better. And, Tonk asks, obviously that you two are close with Ben. He's definitely better than he has been playing the last couple weeks, which we know. We understand he is human, but with that being said, is he maybe in his own head a little bit? I think obviously he didn't play well last week. I think we all know that. So, but you guys can kind of speak on that a little bit better than I can.
So, Joe, you're the guy, right? You're the guy running the show. And after a quarter and a half of play, you got your whole fan base chanting for your backup. Not saying that, I mean, it's obvious he heard that, but, and you're taught as a player, don't listen to all the noise, and fans don't care, which obviously, I mean, it is what it is. They're fans for a reason. But I wonder how much that really had an effect. Like it kind of shook me to my core. When it happened, I'm like, all right, well, I mean, there's only gonna be one way for kind of the chant to stop happening, and it's going to be by putting 3 in, and we did, and we still ended up only scoring 3 points. So I don't know. That whole argument has just been exhausted. For me, I've probably had 500 different conversations with 400 different people about it, and I wouldn't say so much just in his head. It's just, it's just been one of those wild rides of a season. And I think there is a lot of added pressure. And I think Ben knows, he could definitely play way better. And I think he knows that. But with that being said, that there's still, other defenses that are going to make plays, other players that are going to play you differently, and other coaches that are going to play you differently. And let's not forget he was playing, in a lesser of a conference the previous season. So I don't know, maybe if that change has an effect on it as well. So I would love for the chance for Prater to see the field kind of stop happening, because I just don't understand what fan base, when you're 8-2, tries to boo your own starting quarterback off the field. I don't understand that one.
Yeah, and just to kind of answer the question, I'm sure he hears it. Obviously, you're human, and everybody hears it. And Ben is very like zones everything out, and he goes on press conferences and tells people that, and like I don't read into that. I don't like listen to that. All I care about is the guys in this building, and obviously that's what you have to say. He's not going to go out there and be like, like, yeah, that shit pisses me off. Like, he's going to say the right things. And he is that guy, though. Like, he's not a guy to like let the outside factors affect him. Like, I know him personally, and like he really is not like a, all over the place. He's pretty just, steady. This is Ben. This is who he is. Just a chill guy. So I mean, yeah, definitely, it definitely pisses him off. I'm sure. Like, I haven't talked to him about it, but that human element you can imagine. But yeah, dude, like playing quarterback is so mental. Like, it's so hard, and so much of it is just complete mental, right? And that's what makes the great ones. Is like I always say it, like, I was a pitcher too, in like baseball terms. Like, you let up a home run, like next pitch. All right, can't think about that next pitch. You throw an interception, like can't think about it next pitch. And he's been good at that, where he might not make a great throw, and then I always talk about it, like it doesn't deter him from his next throw. He'll be like, fuck it, I'll rip a 15-yard out route to the opposite sideline. And so he's kind of built pretty strong. He's strong mentally, but like, yeah, I'm sure it is. It's easy to get into a funk, and you're not going to say it out loud, and maybe he is. I don't know, but it's extremely mental. It's a hard position to play. It really is. And you can throw the ball 100 yards and 100 miles per hour, but it doesn't matter if you don't know the playbook, if you don't know how to read defense, if you don't know where to go with the ball. Like, Colt McCoy has been in the league for 10 years and won a game this past weekend. You think Colt McCoy has any like crazy ability left at this point? Like, yeah, he's a good quarterback, but like he's not throwing like darts everywhere and making people miss. Like, he's just like really fucking smart and is like a good quarterback. And that's his best asset. So there's guys like that. So yeah, it's hard. And like you said, it probably makes it a lot harder when the whole stadium's chanting for your backup to go in. So yeah, I know I'm defending him a lot, but it's, I think, like you said, like he struggled and he needs to play better. And I'm sure he knows that. He doesn't need us telling him that. But yeah, it definitely makes it a lot harder. I mean, it's a mental position. And, if he's struggling mentally, it happens. I've been there, and yeah, it just makes it a whole lot more difficult.
I didn't understand the whole chanting for pray. Like, even if you believe that, I think it's actually, in my opinion, I think it's okay to like say like, I want Prater, like have that conversation with your buddies, like when you're having a beer, like I think that's okay. But Like, in what way do you think that's a good idea in the midst of a game? Like, this is a 22, 23-year-old kid. You know, I don't understand it. I hated every second of that. I thought it was completely uncalled for. It doesn't. And if you think your chant's going to change Luke Fickell's mind, it's not. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
another
the big
thing, right?
thing.
Like that's another point to it. Like that was the funnier part to me. And I think, yeah. And you make a great, and there's a great point in the comment section is if Evan was better, he would start. And I'm not, I don't obviously like I'm not coming after anyone. I never want to come after a player or anything like that. But like we have a coach that took a team in the American Athletic Conference to the college football playoff. And if he decided that Ben Bryant was the right guy for the program, then he was the right guy for the program. And that's the end of it. Right. And so like people like me and people like whoever in the crowd can think whatever. And we're entitled to our own opinion. But at the end of the day, if he was better than Ben, I think he would have beat Ben out in camp. And he obviously did not do that. And while people can be upset with that because he was the hometown hero and all that kind of stuff, it's just the reality of the situation right now. And I think for now we should be rooting for Ben to get better and make plays, and it should be nothing but positivity for him. I think. Obviously, say whatever you want when you're with your buddies watching the game, but on Twitter, right? Like, no need to mention him. No need to at the guy. When we're in Nippert Stadium, let's cheer for him, right? Like, so I think that should be our role right now as fans is just this team is still 8-2. We still have a conference championship in front of us if we want it. And trying to, look at me trying to keep these positive vibes going here on this podcast. Props to me, right, Statty?
Yeah, that is big for you. And I was actually going to transition it. We've kind of talked a little negativity about the game. But highlights, I mean, Soppy and I, we hit on it pretty hard last week, just what the off. I mean, we've said it all season, what the offense needs to do. And I want to give a quick shout out to our guy, Aaron. They clearly were listening to you, my man, because Wiley and Lenny T got a couple more targets, and we got some receptions to those two. So shout out for coming on, for coming on the show and asking us that question last week. But, you get Scott the ball, good things happen, man. 20 yards a catch, 7 catches, 140, huge tutty for 76. And I mean, is he faster than Trey, or am I getting out of whack there?
I think Trey might be a little faster, but they're both really fast, and getting them the ball in space, good things are going to happen more than not. So I love that. Those big plays, like obviously, like in a game like that where you can't run the ball, like you need to rely on those big plays, and that's what won us the game. And Jaden's touchdown on the kickoff was awesome when he like took it out. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Like it was just like an awkward way he caught it and all this stuff. And the next thing you know, dude houses it for 100 yards. I was like, no shit, dude. Like, good for you. That's
awesome. Hey, special teams has been awesome too. Shout out special teams. I mean, Ryan Coe has been phenomenal. Mason Fletcher's been phenomenal. Kick and punt team have been phenomenal. And we could go on and on. Jaden Thompson's kickoff touchdown, like special teams has been awesome. So there can't be a negative word for the special teams right now, in my opinion.
Oh no, it's the one facet of the three that we have on lock. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a lot. I didn't expect us to talk that much.
Hey, we never have to face whatever his first name is, Ehlers, ever again. I don't have to watch him drop back and chuck grenades up.
Yeah, dude. We can watch him next year, and he plays for his 10th year.
Did you guys see his comment after the game, his post-game comments?
Yeah, whatever, dude.
We designated to knock out the running back. Is that what he's talking about?
I felt, honestly, the running back didn't do much for most of the night. Like, I never felt like – I mean, he made a couple plays here and there, but I never felt like he was just –
You mean Mitchell?
I didn't feel like he was dominating the game by any means.
I don't know.
He was awesome in the second half.
Yeah, you're right. First half he wasn't as good. Though.
First half, outside he had the one long run on the sideline where he stepped out, and then other than that, I think he had 9 yards on 10 carries in the first half, And then the second half, I think it was like 5 carries for 80 yards. He was
I
a
stand
monster.
I stand corrected. Sometimes when you're in the crowd, like you're just in the heat of the moment.
I just want to make sure we're like accurate.
How
no, that's great. That was great. That was great. Actually, that's good for me to be able.
He was up over 120 or like 115 yards, and that dude 112. Yeah, it was right around 115.
I've been impressed since we've played this guy since he was a freshman. That CJ Johnson. I mean, what a load of a receiver! That dude is massive.
He's a punk though.
I mean,
he was the dude in the huddle, like trying to
with his football talent.
I'm just stating
we don't like him. That's what we're saying. So, okay, let me ask you guys this.
He was the guy in the huddle that Watley smacked his helmet, and he acted like he was shot by a sniper.
Yeah,
when we get a personal foul when they call a timeout. I love that.
I was going to lose my mind. Anyway,
that's a Royer move. Royer would have done that.
When threats, did we get a good, clear video of threats actually hitting him with his helmet? Or
I saw it. I mean, maybe today's world, yeah, sure, I can see them calling targeting, but like it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was aggressive. I mean, these things that fans say just blows my mind. Like to think that like Luke Fickell or Kerry Combs or whoever like grabbed threats on the sideline before the drive was like, hey dude, like put your helmet in his head, knock the quarterback out, is like, it's just straight asinine. That's like something in like a old school football movie. Like that shit doesn't happen. I've been on a sideline for my entire life, and I've never heard a conversation like that my entire life.
So sure, that play happened down by the student section. And yes, I was down by the team locker room, but I heard Fickell yelling, "Code Red!" as soon as Ehlers floated the ball 40 yards downfield, and threats started from 37 yards away, running towards a guy he didn't know who he was. There's no way threats knew that was Holton Ehlers. But I did hear Fickell screaming at the top of his lungs, "Code Red." So I can confirm the Code Red was ordered.
Is that right?
What an ignorant. Dave said it on the BCJ podcast tonight. That's how losers talk. Jason Kelsey said it on New Heights yesterday.
Really?
He was talking about officials and like, does he blame the officials for the bad call where the Eagles lost their first game of the season? And he said losers blame the officials for their loss. Like, that's what losers do. Winners, they win. They don't worry about the mundane. Were we on here blaming the officials for UCF or Arkansas? No, we said UC didn't play well enough to win.
Yeah.
That's what winners do. Losers say things like they're a dirty team and that's just what they do. And they have a dirty program. Yeah, you think that because you got your ass kicked every year you win against them.
I just, if you want to complain about the refs, like whatever, but I think to try to say that like and maybe I just read this wrong. This is what I saw on Twitter that they said like somebody called for him to be knocked out. Like, dude, that doesn't happen. This isn't like your like 1970s like high school football coach, like when you could just do like whatever the hell you want. Like that shit doesn't happen. So that's preposterous. That's a preposterous statement.
That's a heck of a 33 minutes right there. Before we jump into Temple and before we get into our new segment, since our guy's back this week, I do want to give him his chance, maybe disregarding last night's athletics, but I want to give him a shot at maybe speaking his mind about the old orange ball that you put in the basket. As he is holding his face in disgust right now. Listeners.
I did tweet last night, like first tweet in a while, but I did tweet that was that's as embarrassing a loss I can remember. I know for a fact, and Chad can vouch for this, that whole entire coaching staff had no interest in going to NKU to play that game. I don't know. We know who was, we know that there was things that happened to make that happen, but they were not thrilled about going to NKU last night.
Why do you think at the end of the game, I tweeted Mike Bone 2, UC 0?
I saw that. Yep. And you were right. But
Mike Bone destroyed that contract.
I remember I remember, I've heard stories from multiple people of like last year when the staff took over, like there was a lot of making fun of the scheduling and the way they were going about scheduling, and like the fact that in their year 2 they'd have to go to NKU, stuff like that. Now, with that being said, we should still beat NKU on the road. We were bigger, stronger, should be more talented. We obviously still struggle to have people we can rely on to score the basketball. But more so than that, like I just feel like, and one of my big things that I struggled with watching last night, I don't feel like this team really has as an identity. And I think for people that know basketball or football, right, whatever sport, like it's important to have an identity in your sport and an identity in what you do as a basketball team. And whether that's like, and people can, this is why like I always laughed at the people who wanted Mick Cronin gone, was this idea that like, okay, we know who we are. We know what we do. He recruits the type of talent to get him in here to get basketball games. And sure, do we want some bigger names in recruiting? Yeah, but you also have to understand his hands were tied behind his back because we were in the American Athletic Conference. He's trying to recruit kids to come play Tulsa twice a year, ECU twice a year, South Florida twice a year. No one wants to do that. And there's not the exposure there is in these other conferences. So obviously, now that we're going to the Big 12, recruiting's going to pick up. And I could have guaranteed you that recruiting would have picked up too if it was for Mick. Now, Wes and his staff are going to do a terrific job. They're going to be really good. I don't feel like they had their best night last night as coaching staff. I think it's hard to run an offense against a matchup 25 zone, which they ran. But ultimately, you have to be able to score more than 11 points and a half. And you got to be able to find 5 guys that are going to be able to do that. So I'm frustrated. I think I'm frustrated. I think all of us are frustrated. I feel like something that we've once loved and we're proud of as a program has started to kind of slip. And I know it's on its way back up, but nights like last night are just, it just makes it hard. And it's been 4 years now where I feel like I haven't really watched good basketball. And I'm just, you get tired of it. It's hard because my whole life I've pretty much watched good basketball outside of the first few years of the Cronin era. So this is new for a lot of us. We're going to have to adjust. We're going to have to be patient. It's going to take time, but it is frustrating. I don't know if you guys, did either of you watch last night? Were there anything you kind of took away from it?
The most action I got was, I was at work pretty late, but tuned into the radio at about like 4 minutes left to go. And Dan Horde said the score of the game. And I kind of quickly turned the game off after that. And then I knew he would be coming in the group chat. So I was like, I'm just going to wait this one out. And yeah, I think go ahead.
My big thing is just, like I said before, the identity thing. Like, what is our identity as a team? Like, you always knew with the Mick Cronin team, they're going to guard the crap out of people. They're going to be tough as hell on the boards. Like, we knew they weren't going to shoot very well, but they were never going to get bullied anywhere. It didn't matter who they played. It didn't matter if you were meeting Duke or it didn't matter if you were meeting ECU in the middle of January. Like, you weren't going to get punked. You weren't going to get bullied. And that's where I get that. I get that to some extent. Tonk, I get what you're saying. It's going to take time, but it also, like, my big thing is, like, do we have an identity right now? I'm not coming after any of the coaching staff. They're going to do a great job. Like I said last night in our group chat, they're going to get it done. It might take till year 3 or 4 until we get back to the NCAA tournament. It might take till year 5. We have to be patient this time. Like, you have to be patient. You have to give the guy time. But I do think last night was not a great display of coaching in many different ways. But I think more so was, like, you get beat on the glass by NKU. Like, that should never happen. Like, you have better athletes. That should never happen. You should never get beat on the glass by NKU. I think we take a lot of bad, ill-advised shots early in the shot clock. And I get we're trying to get good shots early, but there's a lot of bad shots being taken early. And I know that he's a player's coach, and I know we want guys to feel confident shooting the basketball. But when you only score 11 points and a half against a Horizon League team, we should probably look in the mirror and say, hey, can we get some better shots? Can we do some different things offensively? So this isn't me, like, I'm not there was no part of me that says like, there's a lot of people last night on Twitter acting all crazy. In no way, shape, or form should we lose our trust in any of the coaching staff, but we're allowed to say they didn't have their best night last night, and that was the case. And I just feel like we need to find some sort of sense of identity from here on out. Like, you know, are we going to rock with guards who are going to guard people and not be able to shoot the ball very, very well? Or are we going to rock with guys who can't guard anyone but can maybe shoot the ball better? It's like trying to find that identity. I think that matters. And sometimes I feel like it's like all over the place sometimes. So that's my frustration right now. I think it's just that was a tough loss last night. And I think it went hand in hand with not getting Collier, and our women's team lost in overtime to Toledo. So it's like, at least we got all three bad things out of the way in one day, but it was definitely not a great day to be a Bearcat fan yesterday, in my opinion. I don't know. Sapi, did you watch the game at all? Any thoughts on the basketball program?
I don't have many thoughts. I did watch the live commitment that was like lagging out. And then I was like, okay, I'm off of this. And I saw like committed to USC. That's a bummer. I called that, but it is a bummer. Didn't watch the basketball game. Actually, you guys were texting about it. So I was following along, you guys texting about it, turned it on, finally figured out how to turn it on. But there was like a minute and 10 seconds left. And the game was out of hand. So I turned it right off. I don't have much to give on this topic at this point. I'm a pretty casual basketball fan. I usually don't get into like college basketball until like January. I'll start watching the Bearcats, and then, February I'll pick up, and then March, I watch every game and bet on every game and act like I know what I'm talking about when I don't. But the only statement I would make, just general statement, is that, what was it? Fourth game of the year. I mean, it's very, very early. There's a lot of time, and I don't know the ins and outs of the team like you do. But, hopefully it's still super early. So hopefully, they could kind of play those different lineups that you were talking about, try to figure out how the offense works and just kind of, mess around with it, feel it out, and get that, a night like last night out of the way early and not, against a conference opponent in, the middle of January. So that's
if we win a few in Maui next week, we'll completely forget about last night, which is the hope. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that is the hope. I do think, like, my last point would be, we got a lot of young talent. Josh Reed looked good last night. Dan Skillings is going to be really, really good. It's going to take a year or two, but he's going to be really, really good. And there's some other young talent too that are going to be good. And you've got Griffith and James coming in next year. We still have a good recruiting class. Like, just because we didn't get Collier doesn't mean we still don't have two top 60 dudes who are really, really good. So you're going to have talent, and that helps too. So having young talent is going to help. They're just going to get better. Hopefully they can get a big. Hopefully they can get someone in the portal, like another point guard, and they'll be good to go. But it's going to take time, and especially going into the Big 12 next year, it's only going to get harder. So it's going to take time. But when you're in the Big 12, you might be able to go 20-10, right, and have losses and lose to a bunch of good teams and still be able to find your way as an 8, 9, 10 seed, which is like what we used to be able to do in the Big East. So I think we missed that too. So I'm excited. We'll be okay. It was definitely disappointing. It's hard. It's frustrating, but hopefully we'll be all right. But we got to be patient and give it time too, as much as we can be frustrated with different stuff last night.
I love that. Nice coverage, Joe. I mean, hey, at least we're not Louisville and losing to Bellarmine and
Wright State.
And Wright's like
they're 0-3.
Yeah, and they've lost by 1 point every game. I guess we're at least not them. But viewers, listeners, we got a new segment added to the show tonight. We're gonna start adding our top 5 Bearcat just anything, whether that's pizza, restaurant, whether that's top 5 maybe worst athlete of all time, maybe top 5 Bearcat coaches, top 5 Bearcat NFL. So we're going to start it off pretty easy tonight. We're going to go give out our top 5 just Bearcat legends. Either of you fellas want to start?
Are we going to do snake draft here?
Ooh, I'm not prepared for a snake draft. I would have had a lot more names on my list. We didn't workshop it completely. I was thinking we would just each give our top 5, like our list, and then maybe we can develop, into the snake draft. But I don't know if I have enough names.
Dang, you weren't ready for the snake draft?
We can do the snake. I can pull some names out of my ass.
I went in.
Yes.
You like this? This is fun.
You want in on this? Can we please do a snake draft? I think that's more fun.
Feel
And then
free to
we'll put
comment.
it out on Twitter. We'll put it on Twitter and see people vote, like who has the best list of legends.
Yeah. So like part of my take does like Mount Rushmore. That's essentially. All right, you're kind of digging me with the snake draft. I was not prepared for that. But
How are we determining draft order here?
I think we got to do it in like the way we're set up, or is it set up? Is everybody's screen set up differently?
No, it's all the same. Yeah, you're top left, so we go top left, top right, bottom left.
You number 2,
and then back.
Okay.
So I'll go 4.
Yeah, you'll go back
with
to
that.
back.
So it's going me, Statty, Joe, Chad, and then Chad snakes it, and we just go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're up first, baby.
It makes it a lot easier.
You're up. You got the first pick.
Take
the easiest pick ever.
The Big O.
Yeah.
The Big O. He's got the statue.
Wow. You might have been taken out of the thing if you didn't pick O first.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad I got that, dude. The Big O. He's the GOAT. I mean, literally, he's got a statue. So Bearcat Legend.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I got some names down now that I'm like.
I'm gonna say I'm trying to go through the files in my head. I made this just my personal legends, not so much as the school legends. I guess I didn't follow along that one well.
No, listen. This is what you want it to be. Like my Bearcat.
Everybody's gonna have their own draft criteria.
Mine are gonna be different than yours, so that's okay.
Oh, we knew that going in.
You just gonna say like Tom Brady or something? Like where you didn't
me?
No, he's about to take. He's about to take like one of the late greats, like Chad Moore. You're about to take like Chad Moore.
Who's Chad Moore?
Never mind.
All right, go ahead.
He's a legend on the UC basketball team. Just battled knee injuries. Okay, you go. Go ahead.
Back injuries.
That's right. My bad.
Okay, guy who just kind of cemented my fandom, I guess, for the Bearcats. I'm going to go, this is way too early, but I'm going Marty Gilliard, and I don't care what you guys have to say.
That's a great pick.
It's not a bad pick because those 08 and 09 teams don't happen without Marty.
Yeah.
So, like, the rise of UC football is attributed to Marty as much as it's attributed to anyone else.
Marty likes to party. That's what I would always say.
I'll tell you guys a quick note on that. Like, you guys are obviously all Cincy based. Like, you're Cincy people. That's your team. Like, just to be honest, like growing up, I wasn't a Cincinnati fan. Like, not till they started recruiting me, and I fell in love with it all. Like, I obviously knew about Cincy, but like I was an Ohio State fan. I hate to say it. That's what I grew up as. But like when I thought of like Cincy football, like when I was young, like didn't know about it, like you'd be like, oh yeah, Marty Gilliard. Like,
so you're drafting Trout at some point.
What's up?
You're drafting Trout at some point then.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, everyone's gonna be different. Okay. I
want to make a point. Like when I was younger, like Bearcats,
Yeah.
Marty Gilliard. That's a good pick.
I had to make a Trout joke.
My third pick. Here's gonna be my third pick. My third pick, and people can get mad at me all they want. I'm actually gonna take Sauce. And the reason I'm going to take Sauce isn't just because of what he's already been as a legend. His legend stats just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So he's been like, in my opinion, he's a huge recruiting tool for UC. Everything about him, like the B-Dubs commercials, his own wing, like him with his chain. I mean, the whole thing, like the cheese head. He's just he is a Bearcat legend. Like him being a Bearcat, like I take great pride in him being a Bearcat. Like, at school, all the kids at school who are Buckeye fans, like I just like love talking about Eli Apple, and then I'll talk about Sauce. I don't even like mention Denzel Ward. Like I just try and poke at him constantly. He's a legend.
All right, Chad, pick 4.
You have to go with Kenyon.
Nice.
At 4. You have to go with Kenyon.
Yeah, I had him.
I would have had Sauce very high because you're buying on the upside of he's in New York. He's quickly becoming the number one player at a premier position. But Kenyon did that too. Kenyon went to New York, was even through a broken leg, and he had a knee injury that was supposed to like essentially end his career. The microfracture, like when that happens back then, you're supposed to be done. And Kenyon played through that. He was the number 1 pick. He was the player of the year. So I think if we did a top 4 without Kenyon,
I agree.
I don't think it's very valid.
I almost picked him. I agree though.
2 hoopers, 2 footballers.
You get another one.
Are we doing 5 or are we doing 4 each of Mount Rushmore?
4. Just do 4.
Yeah, let's do 4.
Okay, so I'm really torn here. Tonk mentions a guy that's very much in my wheelhouse here in Sandy Koufax, considered one of the greatest baseball legends of all time. But I'm going to go recency bias because I think we're seeing something happening right now that is going to take maybe the biggest Bearcat personality of all time and make him one of the great media personalities of all time when his playing career is over. And that's Travis.
Yeah.
Travis is going to go down as one of the top 3 or 4 tight ends in the history of football. He is an absolute lock for the Hall of Fame. And New Heights has changed. They have the number 1 sports podcast in the world. And if you watch it, they are so good. They're so on point. And that has staying power, I think. I think we are going to be seeing them in the media world for a long time after their playing days. So he's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's going to be a top 3 guy at his position of all time. And he's going to have a second act that makes him relevant. Plus, he just donated a bunch of money to UC for health and mental wellness. I should go Sandy Koufax. I should. But my daughter's name is Kelsey, and it's not an accident. Now, she's named after Jason because she was born in 2010, and she has claimed I'm not named after Jason, I'm named after Travis. And I've had to explain to her, you were born in 2010, and Travis sucked in 2010. Travis Kelsey wasn't a thing in 2010. You're named after Jason. I've told that joke to Jason. And he was like, I get it. Like, why would you want to be named after me? But I'm going to go Travis.
Joe Matt.
Send it back.
That's a good pick.
Okay. I'm going to go Bob Huggins. Just from a standpoint of like, he is, in my opinion, like the reason so many people love Bearcat basketball. He is the reason. And I know like we can get into a bunch of different stuff and I understand all that, but at the end of the day, the Jordan brand uniforms, like the toughness, like all the players that everyone loves from back in those days, he, in my opinion, is a Bearcat legend, even if he doesn't necessarily want to be a Bearcat legend, if that makes sense. But he is. I mean, and I think we got to have some empathy on I think the way he went out was ugly and it wasn't good. And I think that allowed him in a lot of ways to probably have some hatred maybe towards this place. But ultimately, in my opinion, he's a Bearcat legend. Statty, go ahead.
I'm going to bite my lip, my tongue.
I know you are. I know you wouldn't like that before I picked it.
I'm not going to go too much on a rant here. SK23. I'm going Sean Kilpatrick. Just what a legend. Guy that got me really invested into Bearcats hoops. So I'm making them all personal. I don't know a bunch of the, athletic numbers and statistics, things like that, but give me Sean Kilpatrick.
Hey, quick story. Chad will probably know the story. There was a night where my cousin, he worked down at UC. He went into the downstairs, obviously where the practice gym is, at like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And Sean Kilpatrick is dripping sweat, getting shots up. Like, he's a Bearcat legend. Don't care what anyone says. One of the hardest workers to ever come through that program. Like one of all-time Bearcats. Like he's a guy that like I don't think gets enough credit.
how many? This now I think about it, it's a dumb question because what NBA draft's only like 2 rounds. So,
Yeah.
but how many All-Americans don't really? How many All-Americans have as short of a NBA career as Sean did,
That's a
or
good question.
not even start in the NBA?
No, we'd have to look it up. I'm sure there's a lot more than we think.
And I love that comment on the practice gym. I think if it was, Joe, I think you could have gone down there at 2 a.m. and you would have seen me and Soppy dripping sweat down there running.
That's true. We did get after it in the practice gym. We had some great runs in that practice gym. Am I up, Statty? You just went Kilpatrick?
John Kilpatrick, yep.
All right. So I was only prepared for 5, and you guys, all my names have been taken, so I'm kind of scrambling a little bit here. But I did have this name on my list. 2 of the names that were on my top 5 haven't been picked yet. I'm going to go with my guy, Gino Guidugli.
Oh, nice.
4-year starter, the first ever hometown hero. Gino, like I've talked to him about his story a bunch of times. I know he had a bunch of offers from like big time schools.
Kentucky, Notre Dame,
I was gonna say Notre Dame, like big time schools. Stayed at
I'm a
home.
Northern Kentucky guy. I watched him play in high school.
Yeah, exactly. And he was
Monster.
I think people forget that. Like he had all these big time offers, stayed at home, played on a shitty team, kind of made them relevant for 4 years, set every record. Obviously Des broke a bunch of them. Comes back, stays at home. He's a coach. I know some people have been upset about, the offensive stuff this year, but he's going to be a great OC. And he was a legend off the field. The stories of him and his brothers and his families, and they got some wild stories that I'm sure a lot of people know, and some don't know all of them. But just overall, like Bearcat Legend, that whole family just has some crazy stories on that campus. So in all aspects, Bearcat Legend. And then do I go again too?
Yep.
You get
another one.
I wasn't prepared to go back to back. I forgot.
Well, good thing your top 2 of your top 5 didn't get picked.
You're right. So I had my other one I think is a good pick, but since I just did a coach, I'm not doing the other name that's going to be probably thrown in here, but I'm going to go with the guy who I thought was absolutely electric, a Bearcat legend, who the best basketball player that I've seen at UC. Problem, Gary Clark.
Wow.
Dude, he was the dog. We would talk about in the apartment is the problem. I haven't been a Bearcat basketball fan back. Obviously I know the history of the 90s and how sick we were and all this stuff, but like my UC basketball fandom was being on campus and watching the problem, dude.
You don't know this, Soppy. I found Gary Clark.
Is that right?
Yep, I did.
I did not know that.
So I was in the AAU event, and people are so sick of me telling this story because I tell it all the time because it's maybe my greatest achievement as a Bearcat. Aaron knows. I was at an AAU event. I was there to see Troy Copain. Troy was 1 class ahead of Gary Clark.
Yeah.
The games were running like an hour and a half behind. So I drove like 45 minutes to the side gym to see Troy, and I didn't have anything to do. So you're just stuck there until Troy's game starts. So I'm just kind of sitting there and on my phone screwing around, and I start watching. He played for an unaffiliated AAU program called the NC Red Storm. You can't get any more small time than that. And I watch him go up, get a rebound, take 1 dribble, and throw a 60-foot bounce pass to a guard for a layup. And I was like,
who's this guy?
Got my pen out. Like, what the hell was that? And he dominated the rest of the game. He was amazing. So after the game, I talked to him, and he said basically like the only school that was really recruiting him at that time was East Carolina. One of UC's assistants' main areas was North Carolina. So I'm like, let me get your number. Walked straight out of the gym, called the coach, said, I don't know what I just watched, but here's the kid, here's the number, make this happen. And then the coach pissed me off for like a year because he would go watch Gary and he would tell Gary, I don't think you played hard enough. I'm going to need you to play harder before I offer you a scholarship. And he did this for like 8 months. And I'm like, what are you doing? Offer him a scholarship. And then he went and watched him, and he had like, he had a game where he had like 27 points and 16 rebounds, and he offered him a scholarship, and the rest is history. But yeah, I found Gary Clark.
That's a pretty awesome story, actually.
That is electric.
I take a lot of credit for that one. I don't do a lot right. I got lucky on the Gary Clark one. If that gym is on time, maybe I just watch Troy Copain and go about my business, and Gary Clark's never a Bearcat.
I'm gonna keep it rolling on the snake draft here. What's this? Third round, second pick.
Second pick, yeah.
So far, I got Marty Gilliard, Sean Kilpatrick, and I'm gonna take a teammate of Marty's. He's a legend because he's probably the only person that's ever done this. Maybe way back in the 1960s it was done. But I'm gonna take Connor Barwin.
Dude, I had him like on my like 5-6 ranking list. I like that pick.
You like that? A guy
phenomenal.
Not only plays with the hand in the dirt really well, but
he's a tight end.
Can also shoot some hoops.
And he played basketball.
Yep.
Legend.
Legend.
Connor Barwin. Legend.
Okay. All right. My third pick is going to be Danny Fortson. And I don't listen, you like Danny Fortson. If you like the Gary Clark pick, you love the Danny Fortson pick. Nothing against Gary, but you
right now.
Only way Danny Fortson wasn't going to score is if you fouled him. He was that good. Chad, you can attest. He was that good.
He's number 3 all time in scoring, and he didn't play his senior year.
Yeah, number 3 all time in scoring. Didn't play his senior year.
1,950 points, and he didn't play his senior year.
The Big Daddy from Cincinnati. That's what Basketball Reference has as
SI cover. One of the great SI covers.
When he committed, he was on the SI cover, and it said the road to the Final Four goes through Cincinnati, and he's like shirtless with this ball like pinned to his bicep
with the map.
Yes,
the map on his chest.
I got it pulled up now. That's sick.
He's a legend.
Danny Fortson was a legend, and he couldn't jump over a piece of paper.
No,
he did work. All right, you guys have really let it go 3 rounds, 3 picks, and not taken Sandy Koufax.
Yeah,
we'll let you have him.
I mean, you called dibs.
I mean, you should have taken him. Like, that's one of the greats. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
And it's the roadmap from Cincinnati to Indianapolis right there.
So sick.
That's sick, actually.
He was a beast.
Sports Illustrated. Wow.
I'm gonna convince my fiance that we get that and hang it up in our new house.
You think he got a good NIL paycheck out of that?
Have to go Koufax here. And then snake draft. UC's only been to the Final Four once in the modern era, and there was one player that got him there. Nick the Quick.
He's awesome. That's a great pick.
You got to go Nick Van Exel.
Yeah.
Like, that. So if they don't have that 92 Final Four, UC basketball's like, there's no connection from the past to the present. So getting that one Final Four kind of changed the trajectory for Huggins. That made him be able to recruit Danny Fortson, Kenyon Martin, all those guys that came later. So I'm going to go Nick the Quick. And he was a legend in the NBA too.
Yeah, he was.
I am going to go with someone who I don't feel is as appreciated as a great Bearcat basketball player. I thought about taking Nick the Quick. Chad took him, so I don't have to worry about that. I thought about taking Coach Fickle because he is a legend, and I hope one of you two take him, by the way. But I am going to take Steve Logan. And for people that don't remember Steve Logan is listed, I think, online at like 5'11", 6 foot, but that's a load of crap.
5'11".
He's 5'9". He's 5'8", 5'9". He's our height, Chad. That's a
He's
load of crap.
5'9"
Yes, if that. He's literally that small. He was that small in college, and he was this. If you were to look at the floor of 10 players every time UC stepped on the floor, you would have thought he was the worst player every single time he stepped on the floor. He was just this bald, chubby, 5'9" guy, 5'8", and he would just his senior year, he dominated everyone we played. Dominated, averaged 23 a game his senior year. Dominated everyone we played. I consider him one of the great Bearcat basketball players of all time, and he's a legend in my book. So I'm putting him on my Mount Rushmore of Bearcat legends. Statty?
Oh, oh my goodness. I don't know, dude. I'm really having a tough time here. We got God. Look at those uniforms. Those are so nasty. This guy's
Would
not
love to see
gonna.
those back someday.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's a legend because it's fuck Xavier always, and I'm gonna take him just because I love the dude. And I actually got a picture with him in a nice restaurant on the east side of town called Butterbees back when I was in about 7th grade. Big 34. He hit the shit out of a white guy with a right hand hook, and we're gonna go Yancey Gates for that moment right there. He's a legend.
I like that.
I don't think a lot of people are gonna like my team, but as far as Bearcat Legends go, I think it's a great lineup. As far as post Cincinnati, it's pretty below average with Marty Gilliard, SK, Connor Barwin, and Yancey Gates.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That's my childhood Bearcats right there, basically.
So I'm gonna finish us off here, boys, and I'm glad this one's still on the board. I was worried about it getting taken, and even before I dropped this name to finish this draft out, which I've really enjoyed, and I'm glad we've added this to our repertoire. I'm excited to do it next week. So there's some names I got listed here: Jordan Thompson, the best player on the Olympic team. Tony Pike, Armand Binns, Pike to Binns, Kevin Euclid. I mean, goated. Luke Fickell, the winningest head coach in Bearcat football history. Desmond Ritter, one of the winningest college quarterbacks ever. This is who my 4th Bearcat legend is, boys. It's the only other man that I know of, other than the Big O, that has a statue on campus. And it's President William Howard Taft.
That's awesome.
Our 27th president of the United States. Okay, boys. Graduate from Cincinnati Law School, which merged into UC. President. He's connected with the city, with the university, the Taft Art Museum, the Taft Theater. I mean, this guy's everywhere. He's left his mark on the university. He's left his mark on our nation. So my 4th is President William Howard Taft. Steady won't even look at me. So I got the Big O, Gino, Gary Clark, President William Howard Taft.
You guys let me win this from the 4th pick easily.
As my 4 Bearcat legends.
You guys let me win this from the 4th pick easily.
Hey, we'll let the fans decide. We'll put a poll out and we'll let the fans decide. I wish we can make a graphic. We're not like
Kenyon, Kelsey, Koufax, Nick the Quick. Easy.
I mean, I have a president on my list, so just we'll see.
I punched a Xavier player in the face.
That's fair.
I just listed off a bunch of great names that we didn't pick. Is there any other honorable mentions that people want to throw out there that they
Jason
were
Kelsey? Jason Kelsey's going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Kelsey brother, sure. I'm still trying to think. I mean, you said you on your list.
Yes.
Kevin Huber, most games in Bengal history, Bearcat legend in the Ring of Honor.
It's true.
In the Super Bowl.
I mean, you can go if you want to stay in the Ring of Honor. That Shaq.
Shaq Washington, a lot of records.
I think we gotta put a little bit more filters on this next time, as far as, is it Bearcat career or is it career as a whole?
I know, but
I think it's what it means to you, right? Like,
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I love that. Never mind then.
Yeah,
next week we should do like toughest Bearcats of all time, and I'll just take like Gary Clark, Jason Maxiell, and Eric Hicks, all with like 3 of my 4 picks.
You won't be able to get all 3 of those of your 4. I'll tell you that.
I'm gonna go.
And I will take Jason Kelsey at number 1 for toughest Bearcats of all time.
He was gonna be on mine too.
That guy was a walk-on linebacker that's going to be in the Hall of Fame at center. That's one of the greatest centers in the history of the NFL. Got a great podcast host.
Good text here from one of our favorite listeners. Again, our sponsor, Danco Joe. Me and this guy are basically best friends, and he
Throw
goes,
him in here, man. Let's do it. Let's do our locks.
He's let me know that
here he is.
Yancey.
What's up, boys?
Danco Joe.
Can you let our listeners and viewers? I mean, great headset, dude. What, you were on the couch last week, now you're in the studio? What?
Oh, got to mix it up.
You're gonna drop some bars after this, man.
Can you give our listeners a little breakdown of what you just sent me over the phone?
So man, Yancey Gates, he's become his own action verb. Don't make me go Yancey Gates on your ass.
Yeah,
Yancey on your ass.
Let's make a shirt that says that.
Yeah, that's right. Don't make me go Yancey on you. That's right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh shit.
Danco, how did our locks of the week go last week? I know you laid them. I think I led you astray in a couple of the picks that I gave you.
So we went. I went 3-0 on my locks last week for you guys, and all the Rock of Truth fans. We had to get away from this fading business. I had to come on and help you guys out, man. So I felt bad. So I had to come out and and represent. So I went a solid 3-0. Statty went 1-0 with his Georgia pick with the 16 points. They covered that easily. And Soppy, you went 1-2, bro, but you had a couple close losses.
Yeah.
Close losses. But overall, man, 5-2. 5-2 is solid.
That's not
You
bad.
can make a very good living. You make a very good living in Vegas picking for people at 5-2. So let's keep rolling.
I'm hot over here in the top right corner. Just saying.
That's right.
I think 6 out of the last 7.
With that being said, I mean, Danco Joe, you're hot 3-0. Keep the vibes rolling. Who do you got this week?
So you'll be laying them all out. We're going to do them one at a time.
I just say let them all rip.
Your whole sheet.
All right. So this week, man, we're going back out to the West Coast again. These West Coast teams, man, they have no D, and so that usually equals high scoring. But I think they got enough D to keep this one in check. We're going USC at UCLA. Should be an entertaining game. 8 p.m. game. USC, I think, wins a close one on this, but we're rolling with the under. 75.5 points, a lot of points. And I think there's going to be enough defense in this one to keep it under the total. So I don't want to touch this spread. I think SC still wins, but -2.5. That's no good for me. I'm going with the under on this one.
I like that.
We're going to move over to the Big Ten. Illinois is at Michigan. That's a noontime kickoff. It's going to be cold. It's going to be 19-mile-an-hour winds. These teams are going to struggle to score. Total's 41, which normally looks like you'd bet the over on that. We're going to go under the 41 on that one. Cold weather, low temps, high winds, ride the under.
Love it.
Last lock. I don't think people are going to like this one. TCU at Baylor. We're going to go Baylor plus the points at 2.5.
No.
Yeah, man. This is the week. The Frogs been riding high. Their run is over this week. They've overlooked Baylor. Baylor's dangerous, and so I'm going with going against big time. I know this is not going to be popular, but book it, man. Baylor plus 2.5. And then just a little bonus play. I don't really bet the Bearcats that much. Last week they were my lock, but that was a had to step out and get you guys a win on that one. But Temple plus 17 is not enough points. Put a small wager on the Cats minus 17 and take your wife to dinner. Boom.
Yes.
Danko.
Yes, Danko Joe. That was awesome. This guy did
Wow.
his research. He's prepared. That's why he's winning. That's why we're not.
Good
Why
work,
he's all-
Danko.
And now I'm all
right,
messed
man.
up because my pick is against what he said, and now I don't feel good. So somebody else, Joe, what do you got? Joe, Matt, what do you got?
You took the Horned Frogs, didn't you?
Yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna do a two leg underdog parlay here. Because I'm all about winning people big money. I don't care about winning people money. I want to win them big money. So one of these weeks, this is going to hit, but this is the week, Danko. I'm going with the 2-leg parlay, okay? And people are going to think I'm crazy. Navy money line against UCF. Navy money line. And the UCLA Bruins money line against the USC Trojans. 2-leg parlay. Hey, Soppy, put in like $10 on your app and see how much money you're going to make off that. Okay?
Yeah. Well, I'm locked out of my app. That's a whole different story. Steady.
Okay.
I'm gonna,
Go ahead, Sadie.
I like your UCLA. I mean, it's only 2.5 point spread, so that's not gonna give you too crazy good odds. But I mean, if you bet them, you win five extra cents. I'm honestly, this has been an argument I've made. I don't think I've stated it yet on the Rock, but I've just been saying it to all my buddies. I mean, Will Levis and the Kentucky Wildcats are so freaking bad at football and so damn overrated. I can't take it anymore. And I'm going to keep the train rolling and give me the Dogs. 22.5. Don't care. They're going to kill them. Kentucky's not going to score. Take that.
I like that.
take that.
Well, I'm scrambling because I felt real good about TCU minus 2.5, but Danko Joe just talked me out of it. He's 3-0. I don't feel confident, anymore going against that. And then I look down. I'm scrolling through it now. There was who'd I bet? LSU's minus 15 against UAB at home. But I bet on LSU last week, and they didn't do me any favors. But that feels like a good bet. Am I allowed to do NFL? Is that allowed, or is it just straight college pick?
Straight college.
Oh my gosh.
All
Dude,
right,
you got there's some good Pac-12 this weekend.
I've got an NFL pick, but I guess we won't give that out. But you know what? I'm just gonna ride LSU, man. I'm just gonna ride the Tigers. I know I just talked myself out of it. I just talked myself back into it. LSU minus 15. They're playing UAB at home. I don't know why they shouldn't blow them out. So LSU by at least 3 touchdowns.
Just like any good gambler, you just play, just rock or I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, good job.
You rock with them. You win with them on like one game in like week 4, and you're like, dude, yes, LSU. So I'll go with LSU. And then my NFL pick was going to be bet on the Buffalo Bills to beat the Cleveland Browns by 100 points at
Detroit.
If you can get that, take the over and the Bill, or take the Bills total points and take the Bills to cover, because they're going to beat the shit out of them. So you have
bullshit that we don't get that game in 3 feet of snow.
Dude, I have so many opinions on that. I'm pissed off. Just as a viewer, to watch it.
Snow, there's nothing better than like legit snow football where they can't keep up with like clearing the field and it's like snowing during the game.
Incredible.
It just piles up. It's amazing.
They said like 3 to 6 feet. They also said that, like, I saw a tweet, I don't know if this is true, that it was like, other than this hat can't be true. Other than Cleveland and Buffalo, there's only 2 other places in the world that get lake effect snow. I don't think there's any way that's true, but I don't know. But those are like the lake effect snow is different. It's the worst thing in the world. I grew up with it my entire life, and playing football in that
wet and
would
heavy.
be fun for us to watch, but not fun to play in.
My wife grew up in Oswego, just outside of Syracuse.
Yeah.
And she would talk about, like, we used to get, like, you just wake up in the morning and there's 2 feet of snow.
Yeah. That's how
I was like, I because it would snow like 3 inches here and everything would shut down. She was like, we used to wake up to a foot and just like, okay, you got to be at school at like 9 o'clock. Get your shit together.
When I got to Cincinnati, everybody would be like freak out. I'd be like, dude, this is nothing. You guys have no idea.
I just wanted to read this real quick. All of this advice is 100% for entertainment purposes only and does not involve real money betting. Gambling can be addictive. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER in the U.S. This service is intended for adult users only. Individuals must be 21 or older to participate in sports betting in the U.S.
Thanks, Aaron.
Public service announcement.
Thank you for that.
It's nice to have a grown-up on staff.
Thank you.
Boring.
You're addicted, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You have a problem.
Oh.
Well, that was
Yeah,
awesome.
Joe Met. So that $10 two-leg parlay on the Navy and UCLA pays a smooth 121.84. So nice little pickup. I'm definitely going to hit that. That's worth the action for sure, man. Good tip.
Hey, take the chance, Danko. I'm bound to hit soon.
I do have to know, Joe. You didn't take Statty to have giant quesadillas and a margarita?
No. Dude. What's going on?
No, man. He came in and got the free oil change, and he was in a hurry, man. He had training to do. He's trying to keep that smooth figure going on. I can't be taking him out for big tacos.
Maybe next time,
we'll
Statty.
go.
Maybe next time you can get the Mexican food.
We'll go. We'll pick up Joe Matt and we'll go get some Mexican, man. We'll go have a fiesta.
There we go. I love
for
that.
sure. Hey, nobody mentioned real quick. Ohio State. This is a big number. Ohio State, Maryland. Anybody like Maryland and the points on this one? I think it's 27.
I almost took them.
Yeah, man. So that's a lot of points, and no way in hell Maryland wins this game. But 27 points, man. Trap game. Ohio State's looking forward to Michigan. They're looking past them for sure. So,
but
I don't know.
I mean, they also didn't score a point against Penn State, so I think it's okay that they're looking past them.
Yeah, for sure.
I get it. Big Ten is just so goofy, so weird. But
yeah, I'm not calling it. I'm not calling it a lock. I just thought it was interesting. 27.5. So
it's like the longest. This is like the lowest number the Buckeyes have seen in about a month.
Yeah,
they've been like 40 and 35.
Yeah, that's just how shitty the Big Ten is. But
fellas,
it is what it is, man.
What a show!
We didn't even talk about Temple, but we're running. We ran today because I think we had a lot of fun and got maybe a little bit carried away. But we didn't even talk about Temple. We don't need to. Temple stinks. The game's at Temple. We play the Temple Owls in Philadelphia. 17-point favorites. They're a bad program. They're a bad team. Bearcats need to get right, kick the shit out of them, and get ready for a big game next week. I think we're all on the same page with that. Unless you guys have something you really want to get in about that game, man. We should kick the shit out of them and get right.
The last time we were ranked 25 in the country and went there, we didn't win.
Different team, man. We're experienced. We've been there. We've played in big games. We're used to the pressure now, so I'm excited, man. This was a lot of fun. I think the addition of the top five, but ended up being the top four. Was a lot of fun. Glad we did that. Danko, Joe, appreciate you coming on, giving us your locks, being very prepared. Covering our ass because we've been failing our viewers and our picks, but you're coming in hot, getting our viewers some wins. So we appreciate that. And boys, if you got anything else, man, this has been fun.
I wanna predict a big week out of Corey Kiner. We saw him on the field a little bit more. I think we're gonna see him out there.
Right on.
You're right.
Run the football, score north of 40 points. Let's go.
Get her done, man.
All right, fellas.
Go Bearcats.
See you next week. Go Cats.